I tell you, that's a pretty fine line up there, isn't it? Especially if you love push-pull 47/7s. Hello everybody and welcome to the January 2024 update from Clydebridge station. And first of all, a very happy new year to all of you. I hope Santa was good to you over the festive period, and I hope you had time to enjoy life with your families. That's what Christmas is all about. For the January 2024 update, we're going to be starting work again here at the depot, but there's going to be several key projects that are going to get started this year, not necessarily finished. We'll make a start on redoing the road surface and the street scene, because let's face it, the drains, you can see an example there, could be a lot better. So there'll be new scale model scenery modelling card going on top of this, new road markings, and we'll improve radio rentals, because as you can see here, Derek can't see in, so we'll get that sorted out this year. The depot will carry on with that, try and get some more stuff laid down. The shopping centre, we're getting carried on with that as well, getting that all improved. And the daunting prospect of replacing this track is going to take place as well, which means that this wrong size ballast will finally get replaced with correct size ballast. And I'm thinking as well, it'll only be this side that will get done this year. This side will be done next year, but the ballast will not be going down straight away, obviously, and we'll have to redo once again the station platforms as well, get them all absolutely correct. This sign here is actually going to stay. As you can see, it's the leaning tower of it's the leaning tower of Clydebridge at the moment, but that will be getting sorted at some point, hopefully this year. So there's quite a lot that's going to get happening over the next 12 months, possibly the next 24 months, as we carry on work here at Clydebridge station. In addition to all of that, I'll be visiting the shows at Model Rail Scotland at the SECC in Glasgow, and I'll also be attending the shows at Glenrothes and Cupar, and also the Cupar Christmas show throughout the year. And as usual, there'll be shout outs throughout the year to all the various channels that I enjoy, and a couple of surprises and to a couple of people who aren't into model railways. So give them all a shout out too. And of course I'll start off with the usual ones of Richard Warren down at Everard Junction and David Watson at Dean Park Station, who both are here on YouTube and who both got me back into model railways in 2016 with the ill-fated Glasgow City layout. This of course being the replacement, and it's starting its 7th year in life. In addition to all of that this year, there may well be some new additions of rolling stock. Well, there will be, because later this year the two Lima Mark II Transpennine coaches will be getting replaced with the Acura scale version. That's going to be late in 2024. They're already on pre-order with my local shops, Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy. And of course this here is the Bachmann version of the Mark 1BG, and we spoke about that in the December 2023 update, and it's really night and day between that and the Lima one. So there's a hell of a lot of work that I'm wanting to get done over the next year. That's not to say that it will get done over the next year, but we'll certainly do our best to get started. And just before I get underway with the start of this year's update, first update, a little theme that was running through that running session that you saw there at the start was that most of the locomotives that you saw were actually ones that were purchased in 2023. You saw 47706, 47715, 47500, 47844, 47401, 60062, 47484, They were all purchased this year, not forgetting 47831. All of them were purchased in 2023 for the layout. Now, I'm not planning to add to that fleet this year. I think I've now got more than enough locomotives to add variety to it, but that's certainly quite a powerful lineup right at the start there. This one and this one, of course, were purchased last year. This one from Mike Wellsby, this one from Rails of Sheffield, and I'm hoping to, if they're at Model Rail Scotland this year, I'm hoping to actually interview somebody from Rails of Sheffield. Well, it's time to get underway though with the 2024 year at Clydebridge Station and get underway with the first piece of work for the 2024 January 2024 update. So if you're all ready, all aboard and enjoy the programme. As you can hear, I've got the heater on in the shed because it is mid-December that I'm filming the start of this month's update. And this is what the main part of the update is going to be about, is getting rid of all of this here. That's why I've moved the coaching stock up here now. And likewise down here. A complicating factor here is going to be these two dropper wires. And what I'm thinking of doing is creating a concrete plinth again to put a unit on, a power junction box. It would sit again like that, but possibly a little bit bigger. Alternatively, it could be an emergency exit. Now, as for the other part, which is here, is this little small gap here. That's going to be sorted out by running concrete along to approximately the end of the fuel point, and from there on in it'll be ballast as well, end gauge ballast of course. The buffer stop will have to come up to allow ballasting to be done. We're a long way off from that yet, and there's also the small matter of getting the Hatton's oil spill kit in. I've got walkways to install, and then they need to be concreted over. This is obviously going to be the much harder of the two, I feel. This is going to be easier to do, I feel. That's not to say that's how it'll turn out. And then once this is all up, I'll be able to install a bit more cork on here, and then we'll start to get the new ballast down. I'm also thinking as well, and again, this is well in the future, of putting a little gravel down to make it look like a sort of gravel pathway along here rather than actual ballast, but I say we're a long way away from doing that. My mate Bob suggested concrete should be installed on here as well, and here at both sides of the fueling point. Now I'll do that as well. Obviously, it'll have to be the scale model scenery 2 mils modelling card I'll have to use first of all to accomplish that. With regards to up here, it's really going to be a case of getting into the engine shed and doing something in between the tracks there, but I have to be careful with that because I've still got to allow locomotives to run freely to and from the engine shed. To remove the ballast, it'll be a case of applying water with a little bit of washing up liquid, no PVA glue, leaving it to soak in for a bit, and then going in with a screwdriver and taking it off, and then getting the trusty old vacuum cleaner out to hoover it all up afterwards. Make sure everything's clear and then carry on. For this side it'll be the same thing. This wall might end up having to get replaced. I'm not sure on that yet. I need to see how I got on with this. That's what's going to take up a lot of the time. I'm going to be removing up to round about here, because the section beyond these coaches here I'll do later on. This track is going to actually stay as it is for the moment. It probably will need to get taken up and replaced in future, and then the dropper wires there reinstalled. So that's going to be another job, which is why I said we're actually a long way off ballasting. And that obviously clearly I need to get lots of other things done before we can even think about ballasting. I mean, the only part I can really ballast is this section here. but I'm not doing that right now. Quick shout out to Mike at Pudham Junction. It was great to see you at the Cupar Model Railway Show as well, Mike. And quick shout out also to that little creature, Sammy the Spider, I think we'll call him. Yeah, Sammy the Spider. I hope you like spiders, folks. If you are scared of them, sorry for any offence caused. But anyway, I'll crack on and start getting this ballast taken up here. It's going to take a little while though. That's this side here now, completely devoid almost of ballast. This bit won't matter because I'll be getting covered with new stuff anyway. And what I've also done is I've installed the concrete section along here so drivers could vacate the trains, the locomotives, away from the fueling point if need be. And I've also got this section now done here up to the correct spot that it needs to be. It goes away from this track a little bit, but I'm not too bothered about that. And as usual, I've put top on it so I know which bit needs to go face down onto the concrete sheets when I'm ordering from Scale Model Scenery at a later date. Remember, I'm not actually going around and putting concrete on everything in this video. I'm just getting everything measured up. My next task will be to do this section here and here, and I'm using the stuff that I'd ordered by mistake for something else, 2mm greyboard modelling card rather from Scale Model Scenery, and I'll put a link to that and everything else in the description below that I've used from xmas. That's exactly where I wanted it to finish. It's well away from the point, you can see there. Now, and we've got all this section up here to do next. That'll be the next section to get done. And as I say, ballast won't go down on here until these are all in place. And once all this is lifted, and that's going to be the next thing. I'm going to have to soak this in ballast, in water with a little bit of washing up liquid, and let it soak in so I can actually remove it all. There is a little bit of damage I've done there when I was trying to test something, but that can be easily covered over by some vegetation, and that'll be done as well when I'm doing that. Derek, our little fuel man, he'll get put back onto the layout at a certain point, but he's a useful guide to show me where to put the windows when I rebuild radial rentals. And I'm thinking for here, the Scale Model Scenery does make a little building. Dylan built one painting it, Justin done one using wraps, and the wrap one was better. Sorry Dylan. But anyway, that'll go in there, but I'll need to get the right sizes first to make sure it's going to fit a bit like a stores building or something. So that's what will end up sitting there. As I've already mentioned, I'll probably do this section first with ballast. So I'll swap one of these buffer stops over to here once the ballasting is done. But that is obviously a long, long way away. Before I carry on and do this next bit here, another shout out, and it's another layout, and it's a motive power depot, West Blythe MPD, set in the northeast of England in the BR Eastern Region area. So please go and check him out. Quite an appropriate one to mention as I'm doing work on the depot here. I've soaked this section here with normal water. One problem I didn't expect, but which has now come up, is obviously this has got a bit wet, but hopefully that'll dry out. I'm letting that seep in a bit, and then I'll get the flathead screwdriver in and start to remove all of that. This section here is going to be a bit more troublesome. God knows how I'll do that. This bit here I'm actually going to leave, because what I'm thinking, and Jim down at Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy along with Stephen and all the others might be able to help me out, is just make it a little gravel walkway there, and then the ballast on here. What I've also done is I've laid extra cork down here, and I've got this strip here which will go in here, and this is the early strip which will go in here, and these have been U-hook glued onto some Scale Model Scenery concrete sheets. They're the last ones I've got, by the way. And the next job will be to get these cut the concrete cut, and then we'll get them into position, make sure they fit, and then glue them into position. And you never know, we might even be able to get these ballasted. That would be a little surprise. Have them ballasted, because obviously it's better to get them into position then do the ballast work afterwards. What I'm going to do as well, and I'll do this on camera right now, just remove that. I'm actually going to swap the position of that. That one's actually going to now go down here first of all, because as I say, we'll get that area completed. Whenever you're actually removing old ballast, or when you're putting new ballast down and gluing it down, always do it with the power off. By the way, never do it with the power on, you'll just cause short circuits and electrical problems. So always keep the power off when doing that. Quick shout out to our model railway shop now, Rails of Sheffield. I've actually dealt with them before, because if I turn the camera around here, I purchased this locomotive, this very fine locomotive, from their eBay shop, 47715 Haymarket. Doesn't she look good? That's the ballast that I want to clear, all cleared now along this area here. But it hasn't been plain sailing. I had to chisel this, putting a hammer to a screwdriver to get that up. This bit is going to have to be replaced. This bit's a little bit damaged, but I might be able to get away with that. And obviously I've got this here to try and sort out, so it may be a case of I'll cut a piece of greyboard that will go along, modelling card, see this? Modelling card to put along here. So it'll just be a little bit going up to here, and I'm hoping that these dry out. They look like they will. Over here, these parts are now in place, and they're covered in concrete and glued into position. And I've put extra cork down here for the ballast that will go in there. We're going to turn our attention now to two bits of rebuilding. One, obviously, that will get done. The other bit is here. Remember previously I had a piece going like that. That's not going to be possible this time, because the wall actually moved slightly out of position when I reinstalled it. I put it in the wrong position slightly, and that is crucial. I'm going to have to cut a new piece, and it'll come along here, but it'll have to come out a little bit and go back in. So it's going to be roughly from here to here, and that'll have to get put into place, and I'll probably concrete that in, and I'll just use the same modelling card that I've got here, and I've got to then cut modelling card pieces to go along here. Now in addition, I'll put this buffer stop back on. I am in a position, by the way, where I can actually put ballast down in here, but I won't be able to glue it down yet, because I want to get these dry first before I do that. It took me a hell of a long time to get this ballast up, so I'll tell you how long it'll take to get this ballast down. And that's a little warning sign for over here when I come to do the station area, because at least I'll be lucky that a lot of it will be on concrete. No, it won't be on concrete, it'll be on cork. So I'll be able to get that all taken up there. And these are coming up too, so it's actually a bit of good practice, and that's a job that'll be starting later this year. I'm dreading it, but it's got to be done. I just need to try and make sure I get the modelling card out to those specific lengths that you see there. This one's absolutely fine, but remember, these parts that are bare, that haven't got any concrete on them, are not glued down. These two have been glued down. I'll get this piece done, get it measured up, get it done, and I'll get it glued into position, and then we'll try and see if we could do something to make it a bit more scenic. To get this bit done here, I had to use some ingenuity. It's not stuck down yet. I'll lift it off so you can see what I've done. I had to put a bit of cork down there. I'll need to put another bit of cork on top of it, possibly, and a little bit there. See, and it may be necessary to perhaps glue that bit down there, but that's my ingenuity there. I cut this bit a little bit wrong, but what I've done is I've got it as tight as I could, and then I've just added another bit in here. Now notice here there's a little bit of a gap, so I'll have to actually trim that a little bit, but not straight, so it can meet up with that, and then we'll get that all pushed in. The alternative is simply to go and cover it over once it's all concreted down, and we'll carry on up to our lines here. It gives me an ample opportunity, I think, maybe to just bring in the regional railway stock. Okay, so it's not quite perfect yet, still a long way to go, and I've got my piece here where a junction box will sit on. I think what we need to do now is get a locomotive in here. Let's see, we'll get a locomotive in, and then we'll have another check out of it. There we go. So I've got two of my green machines in, 47484 and 47628, and you can actually see just by having 47484 here in one of the fueling point areas just how much better it's looking now. The only thing I've got to watch for is that this doesn't come up too high and then foul the track, so I've been very careful with that, and you can actually see here that the locomotives are quite close to it. I'm just having it running next to the sleepers because that'll make it easier for cleaning. And remember too, this is only a level 1 depot, so it won't be a belts and braces equipment depot here. It's just a minor depot with serious problems having to be dealt with at Motherwell or Palmedy. Once of course this bit is ballasted, it'll look a lot better, but ballasting cannot be done until these are concreted and stuck down and left to dry for a few days. And then we've got to get Derek, our fuel man, put back up, so we'll maybe put him, I think, bloody hell, he's right under the tree. Would you believe that? He's right under the loco. Apologies for the language, as my good friend Nick Mullins would say. More about him in a minute. Derek will stand about there, I think. We'll get him stuck down. I'll just push that back in there carefully now. I need to crack on and get the rest of these concrete pathways all done down here, so I'll need to move this train back out the now. And once I've got these the greyboard for the concrete pathways done, I can then concentrate on getting this ballast taken up here. This stuff will be fine, but the rest of it will need to be all taken up so I can put new stuff down later on in the year when I come to redoing all the track and station area, a job I'm not looking forward to, but I know it has to be done. And I've already mentioned this area here looks to be okay, but as long as beyond that will have to be done. But the removal of that ballast is going to take place after I've got this section done here. Now back to Nick Mullins. Go and check him out please on Twitter. And Nick Mullins, very good rugby union commentator. I don't think he was too familiar with the Great Western liveried Class 47s though. Apologies for the noise you can hear. That's a shed heater I've got on right now because it is rather cold today as I film this on the 30th of December. We'll take a break from doing depot work at the moment to bring the new purchase that I got at the Cupar Model Railway Show into view, and it's this vehicle here. scotrail Mark II BSO, and with the running number 5146. It replaced a much earlier Hornby Railways model from the 70s or early 80s, numbered M5232, and that coach is going to be getting put on eBay. This here is a Bachmann product similar to the one that's just out of sight, but I'll move it into sight now, you can see there. and it's going to form part of a mixed livery set. I'll have to get another Bachmann coach to replace this one, because obviously you could see just how dated the two designs are. It shows you just how good technology has come in the last 30-40 years, that when I bring this coach in, you can see that there's huge deep window sills on the outside, and then they've put the plastic in like that, whereas now the windows are accurately portrayed. No big huge deep window sills as big as your house, and the seating is much improved in them too. I'll bring us back into view. The livery is very sharp. The detailing on the underframe is much improved from what had been there previously. The bogies are the correct size. The ones on this coach are actually a bit too big in my opinion compared to that one. And of course nowadays you could put lighting in here if you so wished. I'm pretty sure you could do it on this one as well, but these ones you definitely can put lighting in. And the roofs are correctly portrayed as well, with the vents in the top for air conditioning. Steps, door handles, all accurately portrayed in the correct colour. And the other job, I'll need to actually take the coaches apart to do this, so I shall do that right now, is the gangway end connections. I'll just put the camera there and you can see just how plain that is. That is incorrect, because on these coaches they've got the cables and that all there, the coach lighting jumpers. What is incorrect is that there's no warning signs there, no other detailing like C1. What is correct is the gangway connection is sealed off and it is a solid door. You might think that's wrong. Actually, believe it or not, for this type of coach that was correct. If I turn the camera around and we look at the new scotrail one, it's got the handle coming out correctly, the coach lighting jumpers portrayed, and the warning sign, and there's the proof that Hornby had it right in the 80s. It's a solid wooden door that swings across and can be locked shut. Now, as I've already mentioned to you, I'll put this back together to its actual correct formation, and I'll run that down to the buffers. This is one of the local trains, and eventually, of course, I'll have a Bachmann coach that will replace this one, and this one will go on eBay as well. And even looking at that Bachmann coach and comparing it to that Hornby coach, if I come back at there, you can see the difference between them. Even the colour, actually, just looking at the colour between them, this is more accurate than that. There's about 40 years difference in the technology between the two coaches, and this one as well. And it shows you it's just come in leaps and bounds, but there'll be people who will still collect these. And speaking of these types of coaches, I'm just going to bring this next train back in by hand, and we'll stop it there. We'll show you. This is from the 1990s, and it's a Hornby one, and you can even see the house style windowsills on there, and how incorrectly portrayed the toilet window is. If you look at it, it's not even glass, it's just a piece of clear white plastic, whereas look at it on this one, that's correct. Now I'll be hunting around over the next year for replacement coaches, and they'll be probably be the Bachmann ones I'll get. This one is a little bit more accurate than that one, even though both have got the same running number, would you believe. But what I will do is I'll be replacing these with the Bachmann one, and these will get put on eBay. There's collectors out there who buy them. There'll be other people who want these types of coaches. So that's what will actually happen. But of course, like I said, that and this will not be going on eBay until I've got replacement coaches to take over from them. It has to be said though, back in the day, this and this were actually good for their time. But times move on, technologies improve, and I have to say I think the railway modeller of the 21st century is a bit more demanding as well and expects a bit more from their models. You won't see this running at the moment on the layout, but you'll see it later on in the video, and it just gives me a quick point out as well that these coaches were used in standard local hauled formations on ScotRail, and what I mean by that is services like Aberdeen Inverness, Glasgow Inverness, Edinburgh Inverness, and they were also used on push-pull trains as well occasionally. So if you are getting one of these models, please just remember that it can be put into a push-pull train if you so wish. Later on in the video I'll actually be talking about another piece of rolling stock, my track cleaning van that I've got, and I've now got double-sided sellotape, so I'll be showing you what I'm going to be doing with that as a little money saving tip for you. But anyway, let's in the meantime get these trains back out and carry on again with the depot. That's all the greyboard modelling card that I've cut for the walkways now in place. One or two bits aren't quite correct, but what we can do there is, once the concrete sheets are on top of them after the ballast is dried, I can put bits on top to cover the joins, which is something that I've done up here. Don't know how well you can see that. Yeah, they're just there, so it does sort of hide the join. It might seem strange that I've got concrete going all the way up along here, but what you've got to remember is that this is a depot set in the late 80s, 1990, and therefore they were trying to experiment, perhaps the Scottish Region of British Rail and ScotRail, with a much better working environment. Once these two here are covered with concrete wraps, they'll get 3 West Hill Wagon Works water locations put on them, and there'll be one each here and here to fill up the water on the locomotives. And I know it's going to be a tight fit, but I'm going to put a water tank in here from Scale Model Scenery. I'm going to now go and replace this bit here with another piece. I'll get that cut and it'll be to the right size. And once I get it glued into position, I'll be able to start putting more cork down here, and it'll come up to around about this point here. The reason for that being, obviously I've still got this bit here to clear, but what I can do now is bring the regional railway set, and we'll leave it there, because as I say, obviously I've got to clear this part here, or at least some of it anyway, and then we'll be in a position where we'll be able to start getting some extras put down parts of the area. Walkways and signs as well, they'll all have to go in. I am also in a position where I can actually put ballast down here, so obviously that's going to be an important task to do. It'll mean I'll have to take up this bit. I have gambled and put this piece in here, but I noticed when I put the water and mix down to remove the old ballast and it had soaked through to one part, well, that soaking through has already gone out. You can't even tell where it is, so I'm quite happy with that. In terms of putting the ballast in, I've also got my concrete bit here to do. I'll need to get a junction box put in here, but that'll be a West Hill Wagon Works item, along with that, to keep the crews, the track workers clear. So as I say, it does look a lot of concrete, but It is a level 1 depot. It might not seem it, but it is a level 1 depot. So there is a bit of work to still be done here. And then I've got to, once the ballast dried there, I've got to add Derek and put him there. Go and check out my mate Rob Kane. He says he has a YouTube channel somewhere. So go and check him out. He's a Liverpool based nightclub DJ. Fantastic bloke here. So go and check him out, please. And check out Lee Butler, DJ Lee Butler on Twitter. Go and check him out, please, as well. And he's actually on YouTube. Another great DJ. And it's Lee you've got to thank for me calling this nightclub the Quadrant Park, because the Quadrant Park in Liverpool, up at Bootle, now demolished, or the Quad, was where Lee cut his teeth as a DJ many years ago. I've moved these two locos up here because you can see I've got the cork down there. I've got it up to the point I said I would do. This is a little bit taller than the others, but I'll hide that with a lot of vegetation. But I've moved the locomotives because we have got the first bit of ballast down here. I was only ballasting up to round about this area here, and it's only been put into position. It's not been glued down yet. Once it gets glued down, and that'll take a few days to dry, the locos will then get tested over it again, and I'll clean the track as well before I run the locos over it. And then I'm even only going to glue up to around here because I need to make sure that these are going to be okay. For this area here, I'll take this piece out and I'll use a scrap piece to sort of absorb the glue. And even once this is done, we're still not finished yet, because I'll have to add in Hatton's oil spill kit for this whole depot area as well. And only once that's done can I actually then start to apply the concrete onto the pieces of greyboard. So it's quite a long way to go. Round about this area is going to be obviously the tricky part. It's going to have the most oil and oil droppings, shall we say. And along here there'll be vegetation put in as well. But it is actually starting to look quite good, and I have to confess they were absolutely right. I should have listened to them years ago, but I'm paying for it now. N-gauge ballast for double O gauge track. Absolutely right, because if you look at it there, yeah, that is rubbish. And obviously this is going to be the next port of call, taking all of this up. The cork that I've put down there, by the way, is just some offcuts that I've got from a roll. I've still got some of it, but I'll be needing to get more, which will be music to the ears of Stephen and Jim and the others down at Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy, so they'll be quite pleased with that. I'm not going to actually go and do a full video on how you ballast. There's plenty out there to do that with. But I will say that this was a bit of an awkward point here with the fueling area, but I've managed to get it done, and I've simply went up with a screwdriver up and down just to make sure. So it's looking quite good, and it is tempting me to take this up and redo this whole track here as well. So I said initially I wouldn't do it, but plans changed, so I might actually be doing it after all. You can see there, so I might actually end up doing that after all. But this is quite good. I'm really pleased with it so far, and as I say, the Hatton's oil spill kit will have to get ordered, and that actually goes on once the ballast is dried. David Watson at Dean Park Station did do an experiment where he mixed the Hatton's oil spill kit in with ballast when laying it on a piece of test track, and then putting it on after the ballast had dried, and the ballast drying was actually the better looking one, rather than mixing it in from the start. When you think about it, it's right, because you don't, when they lay new track and ballast, they don't go and just put the oil stains in straight away, do they? So David was absolutely right there. The Hatton's oil spill kit, I'll cover that in another video once I get it, but obviously this is, we're starting to get close now to that, and as I say, I'll have to get the oil spill kit ordered, some concrete sheets ordered, and therefore the water tower ordered too. And although, as I say, I'll do the Hatton's oil spill kit as a separate video, I will add it in during the update here. But this needs to get glued down. It is quite cold outside, so it's going to take a hell of a long time to dry. And as I say, I'm only going to do this up to this point here and see how it goes. There we have 2 bits ballasted. I've got this part next to the engine shed, which I'll talk about in a minute, and obviously this section along here. I used a scrap piece of modelling card, which I laid down there. Well, I laid the ballast down and then glued it, and I've taken it up because I was wondering what the absorption was going to be into here. It doesn't look to be too bad, however. That's going to take several days to dry, and then once it's done, I'll run my cocktail stick along the 2 tracks on the inside again, and give it a quick clean, and then by that time hopefully the Hatton's oil spill kit should be here, and we'll be able to start doing that and making this look a lot filthier than what it currently is. Then we'll turn our attention to this next section. I've only ballasted up to here at the moment and glued it down because obviously I've got the sheets to put down, the concrete sheets to put on the greyboard, and then get them into position afterwards. But also I've got things like signs to put in, and I've got walkways as well to put in as well. For instance, I want to have a walkway that comes from here and takes you either over to here or up to there. So if I pan the camera like that, the walkway would come and go down here, take you up there, or across here. So there's all sorts of various things that's still got to be considered. Add to that I've still got more ground frames to put in, because although I've got one here, I still need one for here, which is going to have to be located somewhere, probably about here, and for here, and for here. So it's a long way from being the finished product. Not only that, the ballast is going to take some time to dry. Up here I took the engine shed away so I could get into this small section here, and again it's going in, and the water absorption into there isn't too bad. There's a bit there at the end, but from my experience, if I just take this shed up a minute, you'll see. I'm going to leave the engine shed off while that's drying. Let's see what happens. But from my own experience with the wall there, the retaining wall, it doesn't seem to have done too much to it, if anything at all, so hopefully that'll dry out completely. Again, there'll be an oil spill kit used in here, and the new buffer stops will get put in there. But that's a long way down the line anyway, no pun intended. And then we've also got to see, once we get that done, we've got to get Derek put back in there. What we'll do is we'll probably put Derek here. So I'll leave Derek just there now. And where that buffer stop is, I think that's where I might put the water tower. So there's a lot of things that's still got to be done on here. Now it's going to take several days to dry, but by the miracle of YouTube, you'll only have to wait several seconds to see it dry and see me putting on the Hatton's oil spill kit. Just under an hour ago, before I was filming this, I ballasted this section up to this point here where the concrete between these 2 tracks ends. The concrete between here and here lined up here. And I put down quite a lot of glue, and it was a 50-50 PVA water mix, and you can see it's already starting to dry in. I've actually ran along a little bit with a screwdriver to straighten it out a bit here, and I'll do that again off camera. It is a bit clumpy in parts, but that's to be expected because of the environment we're in here. Now, I've been really experimenting as to whether or not it's better to ballast, put the glue down in with scrap pieces, or put the glue down with normal pieces done in there. And my own experience is telling me already, I think if I glue this stuff down then put it in, it's in position ready to be done, get ballasted. So I think I may do that for this the third section. What I've done here, I need to show you, is that this is for road concrete strip 1, 2, 3, 4. And to tell me what's what, how it all goes together, row 1, section 1, row 1, section 2, and they're numbered from the buffer stops back the way. So that would sit there, and that would sit there, for instance. I have to wait on the concrete from Scale Model Senior to come in before I can do that, and I might actually add it in and then put in the Hatton's oil spill kit just on this road, because obviously it'll absorb it and make it darker, and it'll make it look a bit more messed up. This is just a small piece here that will sit in there, and I've actually already covered this piece here in concrete sheet, so it's ready to go down. It just needs a bit of concrete sheet over there to cover it. That's going to be after the ballasting's done. I've done this bit and put it in. You can see it's absorbing it, but I've noticed where it was absorbing the waters yesterday, it has died back a bit, so that's actually quite a good sign that it's going to turn out okay. The water tower is going to go here, and you'll see that in the February update. When you're ballasting, always keep the power turned off. Don't ever ballast with your power turned on. You'll cause short circuits and that, and you cause damage to locomotives. Once I put the ballast down, I brushed it along, and then went like that with my finger thumb to get bits up. Went along the sides with a screwdriver, but you can use a cocktail stick as well. And once this is all done in the Hatton, and before I put the Hatton's oil spill kit down, I'll go over this with the track cleaning wagon, which we'll talk about shortly. Make sure it's all cleaned, then put the Hatton's oil spill kit down, and then clean it again. In the February update, I'll show you how to use the Hatton's oil spill kit. I can't wait to get started on this section here and get this up, because the Cupar Model Railway Club told me the end gauge is looking a lot better than 00 gauge ballast, so I just can't wait to get stuck into this bit and get it up. And I've started to get new track for here, just in case I do need it. I won't film me dismantling this track. I mean, that's like watching paint dry. Oh, P.S. there is a video on YouTube last 3 hours long of paint drying. I would like to think my videos are a bit more exciting. But that's practically everything up here that needs to be done. We all know about it. And by the way, I've been using normal tap water this time rather than water out the water, but look at the green hue that's started to appear on there, and it looks a lot cleaner on here. As we keep going along and going along there as well, I'll give a quick shout out to Eden Road TMD, which you'll find on Twitter and Facebook. I know it's called X, but I still call it Twitter. I'm a traditionalist at heart. We're into the last couple of minutes of this video, folks, and this is what I've been using for the track cleaning wagon. This is just your normal household cloth that you can buy a pack of 10 for about £1 or so at 2023 prices out of Tesco's. I cut them to size, then I stuck double-sided sellotape onto each bit here, then stuck them on and put some of this stuff on, Clean Track Solution from Woodland Scenics. I mean, any track cleaner could do, I would suppose. I probably put a little bit too much on because I only done round the fueling point and the approaches to it, and I did see that the tape did actually come off as I was pushing it by hand, so it's something to watch for, is not to put too much on. But I got the idea for that from somebody else who was showing you this, how to use a track cleaning wagon. One tip I would give you, he actually has the locomotive hauling it. I would say have the locomotive propelling it, like a snowplough. I don't know his name, as I say, but I'll put the link into the video if I can find it for next month's update. What we'll do now is we'll show you how the finished fueling point looks on one side, and then tell you about what's going to be happening next month. And there we have the fueling point there, one side of it anyway done, and that's the Hatton's oil spill kit that I've put on there. It has sprayed over a little bit onto the concrete, but that's not a bad thing, I actually like that. And I've got the buffer stop back in. Now up here, some of this glue has hardened, but some of it hasn't, as you can see, so I think I'm going to have to apply a bit more ballast into there before applying a bit more oil spill kit. And if you're wondering what this locomotive is all about, and you think I've never seen that before, well, you'll find out in the February update. In that update, as well as telling you about this, we're going to build a water tower from scale model scenery that's going to sit here. And we're also going to show you how to use the Hatton's oil spill kit. I am, however, aware that Hatton's model railway shop in Widnes are closing down, but let's hope somebody perhaps comes in and takes over the shop and makes it a proper shop again rather than being on an industrial estate. That kit though will be explained. I'll show you how I do it in the February update along with the water tower. And off camera I've relayed the track in here. I'm going to test it, but I've got a feeling I'm going to be taking a trip down to Scoony Hobbies to get new track for here, and it's likely to involve a small alteration here. I've had to take up this fencing out, and I think it's going to be a case of putting the fence in here and then having a walkway somewhere so that people can get over to this part here. So that's going to be, this will all be covered by spare bits of concrete sheeting, which you'll see in the update. And you'll also notice that I've made a start at removing a lot of the ballast here. The rest of it is all going to go through time, and new cable trunking will get installed as well from scale model scenery. So it is quite a sizable project I've now got myself ahead of this year, which, as we all know, is going to involve the removal of all the track in these three platforms and then relaying it down again. But I'll be using copy decks to lay it down. So as I say off camera, you'll see that getting, I'll be testing that, and I'll let you know in the February update what's going to happen. As you can see, some bits where I've pinned it down, it's been damaged, so fingers crossed that we're going to be okay. And I will be using the correct end gauge ballast, is what I've done here, so there's going to be a lot to do. Now this period is going to be a little bit busy for videos because I've got two modelling idea videos for you. We're going to take a trip to North Wales to Bangor for the first one, and then we're going to go to the seaside to Skegness for the second one, and then we'll, after all of that's done, we'll have the February update from the layout, and then towards the end of February it's Model Rail Scotland. I shall be there on the Saturday, and if you do happen to see me, come over and say hello. It'd be great to have a little chat with you. And I'll be buying a few things there. And there will be another 47 coming to the layout. Jim Scobie at Scoony Hobbies is going to have to convert it to DCC from analogue though. But I can tell you, all being well, it'll be a Lima 47508 SS Great Britain that you'll see on the layout coming in later in the year. And there is one other thing I've got to announce to you. I have got a 47 coming as well for later in the year from the Hornby announcements. 47522 Doncaster Enterprise. Yes, that famous one with the LNER apple green livery that it wore from 1987 until early 1990, when it was repaired after accident damage and returned in the standard parcels sector red livery. Phew, that's quite a lot this month, isn't it? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this month's update, and I hope that it's given you some ideas for your own layouts. Don't hesitate to put your comments and queries and suggestions in the comments box below, and do also check out everybody that I've gave a shout out to this month. Sure they'll appreciate it. I'll be back next month, and in fact I'll be back in a couple of weeks' time with some more ideas for you. In the meantime, please, whatever it is that you're doing for the whole of 2024, do enjoy your layouts, won't you? And we'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.